Guys, like, comment, subscribe, share this video, especially if you love college football as much as I do. Now it's time to talk about Penn State. You know, Penn State had a really good season last year. They were third in their division, but who was ahead of them? Michigan and Ohio State, the two teams that made it to the playoffs. And Michigan, who was Big Ten champion last year, a team that went 13-1. Really good season for Michigan. Now, I want to go through their schedule briefly because there's only two games that I'm worried about for Penn State. You start off with West Virginia. No problem there. You should win. Delaware, that's a win. At Illinois. Illinois lost a lot of players, so I'm not too worried about that. I think Penn State beats them too. Iowa might be somewhat of a challenge. They have a good defense every year. Their offense, I think, will be a little bit better. Not a whole lot better with Cade McNamara at quarterback. He was our quarterback a few years ago. Not a bad player, but not really a championship quarterback either. He misses a lot of wide open guys. He will throw interceptions every now and then. He can run, but he's not really good of a pocket passer. So I think Penn State will beat Iowa pretty convincingly for that reason. Northwestern, at Northwestern, I don't see any problems there. I think Penn State will start 5-0. Make that 6-0. They will beat UMass at home. Now here's the rest of the schedule where it gets a little tricky. They have to go to Ohio State. I'm going to skip that game. I'm going to skip ahead to Indiana. They beat Indiana. They're at Maryland. I think they win over there, no problem. Then they host Michigan. I'm going to talk about Ohio State and Michigan last. They play Rutgers. They beat Rutgers. They go to Michigan State. They won't have any trouble at Michigan State either. I don't trust Mel Tucker as a head football coach. I don't think he knows what he's doing. He had one good year with a couple of good players on his football team. They left. And since then, they've been undisciplined. They don't win as much as they need to. And I just don't think Michigan State's that good. Do I think they'll be better than last year? About the same, if not worse, probably. Sorry. For Penn State, you're more likely to win one of these two games, Michigan or Ohio State, than you are to lose both or win both. Because Penn State is really good. The problem is Ohio State, you're playing Ohio State at Ohio State. While Penn State's not a soft team, they are a physical team. They don't quite have the level of athletes at defensive back to stop Ohio State. They can slow them down. They can make it harder for them to earn those yards. But because of that, and you're at Ohio State, even though I think Penn State's going to be a lot better this year than what they have been in a long time, I have Penn State losing a somewhat high-scoring game at Ohio State. And here's the thing. I think Penn State will play a perfect game. I don't think they'll turn the ball over very much. I think this is the year where their turnovers go down in big games. I think they have less penalties in big games. But because Ohio State is Ohio State and they're dangerous at home, I think Penn State will go to Ohio State and lose by 6 points or less. I have it 38-32 Ohio State. Barely. Now, this game's in Happy Valley this year. I'd have Penn State winning that game, but no. Michigan at home. This will make or break their season. I think they have that loss to Ohio State. They show up ready to play at home. They'll be motivated. I think Penn State will beat Michigan this year at home. I really do think they will. Think about it. 2 years ago when they had to host Michigan, they almost beat Michigan. They did. They really weren't that good 2 years ago. They were 8-5, 7-5, whatever it was they were. They lost to Arkansas in a bowl game, and not to down Arkansas or nothing, but Penn State should have been better than what they were in 2021. Now, I know things have changed, but Michigan has also elevated their level of play. Now, because this game is at home, and again, I think Penn State will be a much better football team this year, I think Penn State will win this game by 4 points or less. It will be somewhat of a lower scoring game. This will be the game where J.J. McCarthy will not show up and beat Penn State. He will have turnovers like he did with TCU. I've come to accept something about J.J. McCarthy. I think he's a great quarterback. He's a really good passer, but he still has a lot of about him. Too arrogant, his attitude, his ego. I saw that against TCU. TCU had no business beating Michigan last year. You know why they did? A big part of that? Him not playing good. So I don't think big games are his thing when the other team expects something out of him. With that being said, I think Penn State will capitalize off of turnovers from J.J. McCarthy at home. I think they beat Michigan 27-17. I think they score a touchdown late to seal the game and pull away with a big home victory. At worst, which is unlikely, Penn State finishes 10-2 with losses to Michigan and Ohio State. At best, which is, I think, Realistically, 11-1 at best, which is unlikely that they beat both. They'll be 12-0. But I think they'll be 11-1.